Welcome to B&B Studios, the home of Central Coast Rugby. Let's get stuck into another week of opinions and oversights from Berner and Barthy as they bring us the latest news. Good chat, good footy, good fun. Take it away, boys.
Welcome everyone back to the B&B Unplugging Central Coast Rugby podcast. Back for another week, another wet week, and a bit of a special week. Barthy, how was your week end?
My week end was brilliant. A bit of mud rugby. How good is it to be back in the mud? Well, it might be playing in the mud for the first time for some people.
Yeah, I was thinking on the way here, I haven't seen a weekend like that in 10 years, just probably because the grounds don't open up for something like that. It's so awesome for players to be able to play in that. You know, I think for the women as well, they were loving it, sliding around with what we got on what we saw on socials as well. But for the men, like I watched some of the stuff on Clutch and just even the passes and just it was like, how do you even know he's on your team? Like that's the point it was at, especially the Lakes Razorbacks game.
But it's great. It's what sports should be, played in all sorts of conditions, not just nice sunny green pastures.
Yeah,
you got to learn to play in the mud. You got to learn to play in the wet and the puddles. And yeah, I'm just really happy we got the chance to do it this week. The weekend just gone. Hopefully council don't turn around and shut everything down again like they do traditionally and historically. They've got a rich, strong record of destroying community rugby and community sport.
They broke tradition on the weekend, so
which is good. And hopefully clubs can actually, well, financially they're all doing it a bit tough, but have that bit of backbone to not be worried about the impending fine that may come by council.
Yeah, exactly.
For having the audacity to use the field for what it's designed to be used for.
For rugby.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Anyway.
All right, let's get into the results.
A sneaky little soapbox.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I wonder how long it took. 2 minutes was the number.
That's great. Mud rugby's back. Righto, Berner. Let's get into the results of the round. Thanks to Gus and the team at Erina Podiatry. Some really interesting results, actually. First of all, let's top it off. Start it off.
I'd start it off.
Yeah, we'll start it off.
We'll top it off later on.
Righto.
Keep it together, mate. Got him.
Hornsby getting the win over the Red Devils. I actually tipped the Red Devils. I never tipped them again. 17 points to 7, obviously a good tight match. Muddy conditions. Who knows? But 17-0, 3 tries to 0, 1 conversion. The footage we saw that the Hornsby Lions were sharing on their socials, it looked like a pretty muddy affair.
Yeah.
So obviously the tight result is not unusual.
I think Gosford would have much rather have, I suppose, with an inexperienced team.
Yeah, a dry paddock.
Yeah, it just being bogged down in those conditions as well. And it would have taken a very, very strong effort from someone just to drive them out of that just consistently, because once you get bogged down, it's just so hard, and especially with how heavy the rain was as well in parts that I saw. So, it's the result obviously doesn't surprise me with, where sort of Hornsby sit and Gosford sit, but we were quietly hoping that Gosford might get their next win, but credit to Hornsby, holding strong at home and getting the win. So it's not easy to win in those conditions.
The Red Devils don't have too many overly rotund players, and so with that, the purchase in the mud's a lot more difficult for the slighter built. Let's just say so.
Very politically correct of you.
Yeah, very. Thank you. Hornsby getting the win, 17 points to 0. Congratulations to the Hornsby Lions. You okay?
I'm all good.
Let's go to the pig pen.
The great pig pen.
31 points to 7. I didn't see the size of this victory happening. And 6 tries, 5 tries to 1. And Jared Grange, 3 from 5, I'm guessing.
The People's Outside Centre on the weekend.
Yeah, that's right, he was too. Double, 2 tries, 3 conversions. Is there anything the man can't do?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I would go as far as to say I don't think anybody can beat Razorbacks in that sort of footy at the home ground. I know it doesn't happen very often, but they always get the win in those sorts of conditions, just probably because of the team that they've got as well, that much experience. And when they're up against teams that have, the flashiest players and stuff, they don't really thrive in those mud conditions. It's very hard to hold on to the ball. So
horrendous conditions to set your outside backs alight. Noticing though, Jared Grange at outside back, he didn't have a problem getting
not an issue at all. Well, he doesn't matter what position he's playing.
No surprises there. I'll tell you what is a surprise: 31 points to 7. I thought it might have been a little bit tighter than that.
Yeah, I thought it would be too, but again, conditions-wise, it doesn't surprise me. If it was a dry track and that was the scoreline, I would be surprised. But yeah, I think being in those wet conditions, I'd expect that.
Move on?
Yep, move on.
Move on. All right. Now, the other match saw the Carrong Wanderers winning 14 points to 7 against the Avoca Beach Sharks. Tight tussle. It was second versus third, I think.
Yep.
2 tries to 1. Obviously, successful conversions either side. So, mate, what did you think of that?
Well, 14-0 for most of the game, and then Avoca got one towards the end to make it 14-7. I mean, that's how he predicted it. We didn't know which way to sort of go with it. You back Carrong, I backed Avoca, and I thought it could have gone either way, and it really could have. There's 7 points in it. I mean, that's a nothing game. It's 2 strong competitors going against each other, and and Carrong just got home in the very end.
And I think also the conditions would have contributed to the scoreline as well.
Do you reckon, if you're picking them this week, do you reckon muddier conditions would favour Carrong or favour Avoca? Ignoring that result.
Ignoring the result, I'd say I'd favour Avoca.
That's what I would have thought as well.
Yeah. So, I'm not surprised by the result at all. I think Carrong are a very good side. And the more they can get used to those pressure moments, like we alluded to on the podcast a couple of shows ago, the more they can get used to those pressure moments, the far more dangerous and competitive and more of a premiership threat they're going to be. I noticed too that friend of the show, Sean Peruk, got over the line.
We always knew he had it in him.
We did. We might touch on that a little bit later on.
Yeah, we might speak about Sean a little bit later on because he needs a bit of love. Copped a bit of heat throughout the week.
Yeah,
he did. So
deserve it or not? Do you think?
Oh, I don't think so. I thought I don't know where it came from or who sort of started such accusations or anything, or that's the last thing that we want to see is someone get bullied by their peers in the rugby clubs. But we'll touch on that a little bit later on. Well done, Sean. Good try.
All right, let's move on to the women. I tell you what,
so close.
Orenbong,
so close,
so close. Going down to the Lakes women, 10 points to 15.
So close.
Nearly there.
It could have been those conditions that got him home.
Yeah.
It could have been Karimba.
But it's not.
It's Orenbong still.
So, good competitive and match by the Orenbong women.
It just would have been like 10s in those conditions are so tough. So, Lakes get the win, which is what they need. They need to just, obviously keep winning. So they're continuing their strong run of form. But I think on a dry track, that scoreline surprises me, but not on the weekend. And
I'll tell you what, a little bit of it shouldn't have been a surprise, but they'd been doing it a little bit tough. The Hornsby Lions women, 15 points to 5 over the Avoca Beach women. 3 tries to 1, obviously. But when you have a look through the team sheet, the mighty Angela Miranda was back. So great to see it wasn't a long-term injury with that shoulder she sustained a few weeks back.
Yeah, I think that obviously makes a massive difference. That still surprises me, that result, especially with who Avoca had in their side.
Abby Kitchener getting a double. I think it's fantastic for the Hornsby women. Hopefully get a little bit of momentum.
Massive.
We thought, they've got a real good opportunity to sort of compete for that top 3. I know personally I thought they were shot and dead in the water a few weeks back after a couple of injuries and a couple of subpar performances by them or what we normally expect from them. But what a way to hit back, knocking off the Avoca Beach side.
But that Avoca Beach side knocked off Terrigal last week.
Yep.
They got Hannah Stewart playing on the weekend as well, and he knocked them off. That is a massive result for that club.
Yeah.
That is huge.
So
hopefully that can turn their season right around and they can go on a bit of a run now.
Well done to the Hornsby women. I'll tell you, let's have a quick look at the ladder after those results. And we see the Terrigal Trojan women atop of the table of 35 points. The Avoca Beach women, 23, and the Hornsby women, 23. How about that?
So how many games has Hornsby played compared to Avoca?
8 of Hornsby and 7 for Avoca. The for and against is the difference there. Lakes women, 23 points. Second, third, and fourth, all on 23 points. How good?
Where does Warnervale next?
Yeah, Warnervale in 5th on 7 points.
On 7 points.
Yep. So the top 4 is pretty much locked in.
Yeah.
It'll just be a case of who finishes where.
Yeah.
And I tell you, the Hornsby women knocking off the Avoca Beach women, they'll be cheering on the Lakes next time the Lakes and Avoca Beach meet up, because Hornsby might be able to sneak in, because their for and against isn't too far away from Avoca's. I think there's about 18 points difference in their for and against. So it'll be a really interesting sort of finish off to the season to see who gets in that first, second spot.
Barring a couple of weeks that Hornsby sort of dropped the ball, they could go on if they go on that big run here, they could easily finish in that top two. And especially between those, I really would love to see Lakes get a Terrigal or an Avoca scalp.
Well, when we look ahead, Avoca play the Warrnambool women next week.
Yeah.
Hornsby play Oranbong.
Yeah.
They host Oranbong.
Yeah.
And then Terrigal play the Lakes. So what a cracking round that's going to be. We won't talk about it yet. We'll cover it off later on.
Yeah.
How good. And let's have a quick look at the men's standing after round 13. Round 12. Which has been completed. So the Carryong Wanderers are top of the table, 32 points. The Terrigal Trojans in second place on 31. The Ourimbah Razorbacks, or just the Razorbacks because they're not from Ourimbah, remember? No one knows where the Razorbacks are from, but they play out of a place called Ourimbah. 31 points. Avoca Beach, 30 points. And the Warrnambool Wildcats, 27. The Lakes, 25. Hornsby, 18. Gosford, 10. That rounds out the Premier 1 table. So Lakes,
7 points between Avoca and Carryong has pushed Avoca to fourth and Carryong to first.
Avoca have fallen from first to fourth in 2 weeks. How good's that? There is one win that separates fifth from first.
That's so good.
How good is it? And then not much more than that gets us sixth. So I think the top six are pretty much locked in. That's Carryong, Trojans, Razorbacks, Avoca, Warrnambool and Lakes. It'll just be a case of the order, and if Lakes can sneak into that top five, I think that's what we're looking at as we head towards the back end of the season.
What's the difference between fourth and fifth?
Fourth and fifth, there is 3 points difference. But one thing I will say, there's a hell of a lot of difference in the for and against.
Yeah, because right now, to me, it feels like a top four.
Yep.
And then it feels like playoff for fifth.
Well, there is a top four, and it is a playoff for fifth. Let me just go through the differentials.
Yeah.
So this might help. 125, 215, 71, 102. Then we drop to 18, minus 7, minus 51, minus 193.
Yeah.
So the top four, performance-wise, I think is pretty clear to see through the differentials.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone with us still? We still got you?
So do you know, as I was thinking then as well, going through the clubs, every single club, they've done so well to get to where they are, just for different reasons. Yeah. Like, I'm stoked with Carryong considering where they were 2 years ago. Like last year, we were, couldn't get off them with what they had done to get from, the shit kickers the year before to contenders, and now at this time of the season, they sit top of the table.
Yeah,
and not just top of the table by flukes and results. They drew against, I think, Terrigal's second. You said Terrigal's second place now.
Yeah,
they've beaten Avoca.
Yeah,
they're beating the teams. They are the premier team at the moment, and that is really exciting for them. And then Terrigal to stay there for as long as they can. The resurgence of Avoca as a club as well, not just as a first grade team, and what they're doing. Well, Razorbacks, that interview we had with Nick Meyer at the start of the year, and he was very honest and said, look, we're not getting players to training, and that is exactly what we saw round one as well.
Yeah,
with just Brett Cunningham saying he's not playing this year, and I think he's played every minute, and to get to that point with what they've done. You look at even going to Lakes that they haven't trained at the home ground, they haven't been at home all year.
Yep.
The Warrnambool resurgence from last year, everybody's it's all good stories. It's coming through.
2 years ago, Carryong didn't win a game.
Yep.
Top of the table. This year, a year ago, Warrnambool didn't win a game, and they're in the top five.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're exactly right. It's good times, isn't it?
It's unreal.
And I think also too, if we look at someone like Carryong, they persisted with young and developing young players. And Max Malkin, you remember, when he started, he put in a lot of work, and they were the whipping boys of the competition there for a little while. But he kept persistent, and he kept bringing and blooding in those new young players. And whilst we have a bit of fun and with the Peruke boys, Sean and Adam out in the wing, they're a really good example. There's dozens of examples in the Carryong Wanderers club at the moment. But they're a really good example of players who were brought in at 18, 19 years old. Yeah. They've got a couple of years of experience now in first grade, and now they're starting to dominate and become genuine first grade players. And as a result, with sort of 8 or 9 of those players now, they're top on the table, and for a good reason.
And players like Nick Outram that are having to dig every single week and are just a workhorse and not missing tackles and doing your job perfectly. I think he's a perfect example. Big ups
to Carry what they've been doing, and a really good example of how persisting with youth and putting into youth and developing your players within is a really good way of progressing forward in a club. Their challenge now is making sure they've got that flow of juniors to come through after.
Yeah. Right, Barthy, let's get on to the preview for round 13. Starting off with the women's. Terrigal host the Lakes at Gosford Rugby Club. Gosford Rugby Field, sorry.
Well, it's, as we all know, it's the second home of the Trojans.
One of the great fields to play wet weather rugby at as well. So there is, I can tell you now, I'm saying there is zero chance that game is being played there this weekend.
It's at Tuggerah. What do you reckon?
I think... Tuggerah is the home of Gosford. Home of Tuggerah is the first home of Gosford, actually.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think Lakes were more of a chance if it was played at Gosford Showground.
Yep.
And if it's played at Tuggerah, I think the Trojans will win the game.
Yeah. I want Lakes to win for the narrative here.
Yeah, yep.
I really want them to get the big scalp, but I don't see them getting the big scalp. I think Terrigal will be fired up after their last game.
Well, they had a loss, and then they've had a week to sit and review on that loss.
I think it's a horrible time to have Terrigal. So I want to back Terrigal for that one. Hornsby host Oranbong at Heaton Park.
Back it up again.
Yep.
Actually, no, sorry. My mind's all over the shop. I think the Hornsby women are back. So
can they get it done?
Yeah, I think they get it done hosting against Oranbong.
Yep. Can you stop playing with your microphone, please?
Yeah.
Leave your lead alone.
Sorry, mate.
Hornsby for me as well. Avoca host Warnervale.
Avoca Beach.
Yep. I'm with you on that one. I think Avoca will get it done. I wish there was a bit more. You're wanting a bit more from Warnervale, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
They'll be right. They'll get there. You lay off my Wildcat women, mate.
Maybe this weekend's the weekend they get there. But again, I think a horrible time to have Avoca coming off a loss. So
that's true.
So Terrigal hosts the Lakes, Hornsby host Oranbong, and Avoca host Warnervale for the women's. On to Premier 1. Gosford host Terrigal.
Where at?
I can tell you where it won't be at is Gosford Rugby Field.
Well, they haven't bloody played there all year, so why not play there? It's their ground anyway.
That is also very tough. Like, we haven't mentioned that for Gosford. They haven't played at their home ground.
No.
They've had nothing.
I don't think they have anyway. Might have played one game. Anyway.
Maybe even if it's one game, having that same like just say, for example, flip it to Warnervale, who have been at, because of the facilities that they've got, they've been at home a lot, or Avoca's been at home a lot, or Terrigal's been at home a lot, but they haven't been at home at all. Sorry, I'm just going to digress a little bit. Yeah. It's very hard for Gosford in the position that they're in. I think it's massive raps for what they're doing as well, to actually be that as strong as they are, having not have a physical home to be at all of the time, and that ground would just be a mud pit anyway in terms of training and everything as well.
But also think about the flow-on effects. And I'll use Lakes as a really good example here, but the flow-on effects for the Red Devils and Lakes, when they haven't been able to host teams, how do they make money over the bar? How do they, like, these are crucial threads of finance that clubs need to survive, and they're getting just absolutely hamstrung by the weather.
Yeah.
So hopefully Goss will get to host it at home, and hopefully they win, but they won't, because the Terrigal Trojans will be a far superior outfit to them.
Yeah, I agree with that. The two North teams have the bye, so Warnervale and Lakes can put the feet up this week. Avoca host Razorbacks.
Jeez, this will be a great game. This will be a really, really good game. I don't know. I think the weather conditions will favour the Razorbacks. I think the Avoca Beach side, I think there'll be some nervous times there, to be honest. So, gee whiz, I'm going to back Avoca Beach at home. I should never back them again because they
let you down last time, didn't they?
Well, they don't listen to my tips anyway. So I think Avoca Beach have a game. I'm going to say a drier pitch at Hazlitt. Avoca will win. If Hazlitt's a bog because of the games prior, I think that brings the Razorbacks into the contest substantially. But Avoca Beach for me.
I have no idea which way to go with this one.
It's a really tough one to pick. A good tight tussle that brings the Razorbacks right into the game. But using a little bit more width, I think that brings Avoca into the game. So, yeah, really, really difficult one. But I've gone for the Avoca Beach Sharks. Who are you going for, mate?
I'm 50-50. I can go, yeah. I think Avoca need this win a little bit more. Yep. I just think for themselves, because I think the Razorbacks are humming along really nicely now. I think they'll be feeling really good about what they're doing in the run that they're on, because they're on a bit of a streak at the moment. But Avoca have lost 2 on the trot.
Well, I'll go as far
close losses, mind you, and against the top 2, but I don't think they want to see that slip any further because they're playing the team above them, and if they go 4 or 5, well, they could go 5 or 6 points clear from that, which is
I'll go as far as saying the victory hinges on where the People's 9's playing.
People's 13.
People's 13, People's 9. He could be the People's 12. You know what? Put him at 10. What could go wrong?
I don't know who was 10. I just...
Toby
I don't know how the Razorbacks are there when their team sheet changes every week. Like, I don't get how they're there when you don't have a solid team. Like when you look around, like Avoca's got those people in key positions. Like Mitch Briggs at 15, and
well, let's be honest.
Mitch at 9 and everything.
Whenever there's a key position under threat at the Razorbacks, Jared Rain goes there.
He does.
And the key position filled.
I'm going to back Avoca.
Yep.
Everything's telling me Razorbacks because I think it'll be wet, but I'm going to back Avoca that are going to get home. I think they'll be too filthy. I think they can let this one slide, so I'm going to back Avoca on this one.
The thing that will benefit the Avoca Beach side is that the 2 teams below them have the bye.
Yep.
So, in many ways, whilst they won't want to drop it, the fact that they won't slip further down the ladder will be a benefit to them.
Yep. And hopefully they've learnt over the last couple of weeks just those few lessons. And again, I didn't say the carry-on game, but that Terrigal game was about moments.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're losing by 7, it probably is about moments again. It's probably those couple of times they push the pass or whatever it is. So,
well, speaking of a few people around town, around Avoca Beach, I think it was a carry-on victory, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't heard too many people sort of go, "Oh, we just missed out."
Yeah, right.
I think it was a well-deserved victory by carry-on. Was certainly the impressions I was getting anyway.
Yep. I'll back him at home. Hornsby host carry-on.
Well, the carry-on are flying, and I think just the significance of getting the being top of the table. I think that they're gonna go down the F3 with the M1 with the chest poked down a little bit more confidence, and they've had a victory in wet, horrible conditions against a classy outfit in the Avoca Beach side. The Hornsby team, well, they're struggling to put in consistent performances, and I see carry-on winning this game no matter what the conditions are.
I agree with that. I think hopefully a bus trip down there. So Gosford did the bus trip last week as well.
Yeah.
But hopefully a nice social occasion. But I think carry-on, they're top of the table, and I think that'll continue this week.
Yeah.
All right, well, that is the preview for round 13.
Bernard, we got some mail.
We did, mate. So we've got this sent in from Stephen. So he just wants us to give.
Steve who?
Stephen Keeler.
Right, okay.
The message is, hi lads, I was wondering if you could give the 2022 Positive Rugby Club Foundation, it's 10s and 11s State Gala, a plug. So the Positive Rugby Club Foundation State Gala will be hosted by the Central Coast Junior Rugby over the weekend of the 16th and 17th of July at Tuggerah Sports Complex. This year, we will see 54 teams competing from all over the state in what is the biggest New South Wales junior rugby union event, which is massive.
Yeah, well done.
We're hosting it, under 10s, under 11s. Games will be played on the Saturday and Sunday between 8:30 and 4 p.m, with Central Coast having entered 2 teams in the event. So that is awesome. If you want to support junior rugby, 16th, 17th, what's that in 2 weeks' time? 1 week time? 2 weeks time.
2 weeks' time. Yeah.
2 weeks' time. Yeah, that'll... Just doing a bit of maths in my head, thinking out loud there, which is unreal. So having 54 teams across the state visiting the Central Coast, so a great way to show off Central Coast rugby as well.
The Goodwill, is that what it's called? The Goodwill Championship?
It is called the Positive Rugby Club Foundation.
Positive Rugby Club Foundation. Okay.
Close.
Yeah, good stuff.
So that's unreal. So Steve wanted us to give that a plug. So if you're keen to support that, get down there if you can, around, and obviously support our teams that are there. Or our 2 teams that are there, but having 54 teams around the state's pretty unreal, mate.
Yeah, mate. Great event for the local game.
And thanks, Steve, for sending that in, mate.
Has it come to this? I've heard people say that too much of anything is not good for you, baby.
It's time for some loving, Burner. It's time for some loving.
Best part of the week.
Love you, pal.
Got a lot of good feedback from this segment last week, actually.
Yeah, some very positive feedback, which is great.
What do you want to kick it off this week? What are we loving?
Mate, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We had someone reach out to us here at the podcast and send us a message. And what I've done is I've put...
We don't reveal who it is.
No, we can't. And as we've established, I guess our integrity of keeping secrets is always of the highest order, and we don't like to reveal who our sources are and who gives us some inside information. So what I've done, we got sent a voicemail.
Yep.
And in an attempt to try and hide this person's identity, to keep it real, we've scrambled it in through the voice changing algorithm.
Voice changing software.
Yeah, we've put it through that. So I'll play what the message was, and I'll talk a little bit more about it when we finish.
Okay.
G'day, gents. Weekly listener, first time messenger. Boys, I just want to throw out, firstly, love the podcast and the new segment where we're dishing out a bit of love for the people around us. I was hoping that you could throw out some love for the new bromance that formed on the Central Coast Triple A when we took out the Caldwell Cup. And that is myself, Rob Peden of Erina Rugby Club, and Lachlan Perook from the Carryong Wanderers. There's a beautiful bromance that has blossomed there. And if you could give them a bit of love for me on the show, that'd be unreal. Cheers, gents.
So there we go. How good's that?
That's unreal. And how you can change a voice to make it sound like
scrambling voices. Yeah, we don't want to. Well, it's just we put all the players of the Central Coast voices into this algorithm,
and then you just select the voice, and then that person speaks.
Just pick someone randomly. So whoever sent that message in sounded a lot like Mitchell Briggs. It mightn't have been Mitchell Briggs from the Avoca Beach Sharks.
No, well, we just selected Mitchell Briggs, and we said, "Here's Mitchell Briggs' voice."
That's right.
That's going to say that.
Yeah. So, thank you to that anonymous person who sent in the voicemail about a bit of love and a bit of bromance. Good stuff.
That's unreal.
Can I just say too, if this is coming through,
that's every week, and people have to listen to us every single week. Stop playing with your mic. Stop playing with your mics, Dan.
What else we got? What more love we got?
I wanted to give a shout out. I feel like we've already done a couple to them, but Carryong Wanderers this week for what they did with Are You OK?
Yes, absolutely.
That was unreal.
Friend of the show, and just the people's rugby player,
Scott Hanley. Yeah, he's got put aside some beanies as well, which we'll wear on our next episode that we come in, which is unreal just for them, doing what they do every year for Are You OK? And it's obviously an amazing organisation. To always raise money and raise awareness for mental health. So awesome with what they did. I know Avoca got on board with it as well, which is really good. Yeah. So just I think that's there's a photo at the start of the game, 2 captains and the referee as well. I think that is what brings the rugby community together, and especially after we've had a couple of tough losses over the last few years with mental health. So that's awesome for those guys to jump on board and obviously keep driving that forward, and they do it every single year. So that was mine, mate. Just want to give a little bit of a shout out to them for that.
Yeah, a lot of love to Scott Hanley and the Carrang Wanderers. So well done, you guys. I tell you what, I got a bit of love for.
What do you got?
I got a bit of love for mud.
For mud,
yeah,
mud love.
Yeah, got a bit of mud love out there. It was such a fantastic weekend, watching the lakes and Arimba run around in just the quagmire that was the pig pen. It was just fantastic. I loved it. It brings all the elements of the wonderful sport that rugby is, and all the little elements and little nuances in the game that you need to understand and need to be able to adapt on the run, and play a different style of rugby. And it's, I've got a lot of love for that for me.
That small clip we put up, it was just a scrum sort of play, went into the 10, then flicked it out. And you just see, the first time I watched it, I was just looking at the conditions, and then when you watch the clip closely, you'll see I think it's Granger makes the tackle, or tries to make the tackle, and just grabs the leg, and there's just nothing, because you just slip out. You can't do anything. It doesn't matter how tight you hold, that leg is slipping out every single time. And then just watching the bodies come across from the scrum, just jumping over each other, because you can't stop. So it's unreal weekend of rugby.
So, listeners, you got any love you want to share out there? You can by all means send us a voicemail like that anonymous person did. Reach out, send it, through our socials, and we'll send that love out to whoever or whomever it deserves to get it. Did that make any sense? It made sense, but what you should really do to cover your fault with speech there, I'd just play the outro music. I can't. I've lost it. Here we go. There we go.
I've heard people say that too much of anything is not good for you.
Well, Burner,
Barthy,
something I didn't put into the love segment, which I really should have. I love the fact that the national side are wearing the Indigenous jerseys this coming week against the England team.
We actually haven't spoken about the Wallabies game. I don't know if we're throwing that in.
I love the fact that we're going to do the bilingual anthem, which I think is brilliant. So I love that. And with that, I'm not going to be here this weekend coming, mate.
You're not?
No, I'm off to Brisbane. The Wallabies have reached out, and they needed a couple of things about how to headbutt properly. And having received a few headbutts in my day.
Speaking of this lived experience.
I certainly didn't deliver any, but I received a few.
Did you say Alan Alatoa got knocked out on the ground and got penalised for not rolling away? he's sitting on the player. He's laying on the player. Because when I was watching it live, and I just watched him, I'm like, man, that guy's like lazy. And then as the kind of ruck forms, like, oh, he's out. So he's out cold and he gets done for not rolling away. So anyway.
He didn't, did he?
Well, he didn't, exactly. No. They didn't get quick ball. So
I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be here for the podcast. Sorry, mate. Sorry to do this to you.
Got some news.
Sorry to make a live announcement too.
I've got some news for you as well, mate.
What's that, mate?
I'm going overseas for a couple of weeks.
Are you really?
I am.
At that international podcast conference?
I'm going on international podcast conference in Bali. I've been contacted, and they obviously love the stuff we're doing on the podcast. And they need someone to do a couple of presentations, show people how it work and how to run international podcasts. So I'm heading over there for a couple of weeks, mate. So I've also got bad news. I'm not going to be here for. You said you were away for 1 week.
Yeah,
I'm away for 2 weeks.
Oh, hang on. Am I allowed to play with the technology?
No. Here's my issue. I can't leave you alone with the technology.
No.
So I think we've got to bin the podcast for 2 weeks.
Put it on pause. We'll still be active on the socials, surely.
Definitely. So here's my idea. I've got a bit of an idea.
Okay.
So we're obviously not going to be here. We can't do the logistically, it's just not going to work with us doing the podcast with obviously not two of us in B&B studios. We've built a multi-million-dollar facility here, and if we're not in here, then it's just not going to make any sense. So what I think is that we're handing the reins over to our listeners here. So here's what I propose. At training, after the games, we need content. We need people to be putting interviews. We need footage of warm-ups, anything at all that can be shared to the Central Coast rugby community. We need it to get out there, especially pre-game interviews, post-match interviews, anything you can get, warming up for training, post-training, anything. Get us some interviews, get us some content, slow motions of Todd Atkins warming up, all that sort of stuff, and send it through to us or put it on your socials and tag us, and we will share it. And we've got some prizes.
Yeah, but
who can contribute the best?
We've got some great prizes. We've got $50 vouchers to the Trojan Restaurant and Bar.
Yep.
We've got free beer thanks to Block and Tackle Brewery.
Some B and beer as well.
Oh, we've got B&B. We've got coolers, coasters, cooler bags. We got it all thanks to PMA Global.
That's it.
Great friends of the show.
So that's what we're throwing it over. That's what we're proposing for this. So unfortunately, not going to listen to us or watch us for the next 2 weeks. Taking a slight break. And you know, when you're the best Central Coast Rugby podcast,
highest rating Central Coast Rugby podcast, sometimes you just get burnout. You need to take a break.
Yeah, and that's just what it is. So, but we've thrown it over to you. Thrown it over to you guys. So. We'll see how that eventuates. I think that can grow into something big. And I think there's a lot of characters out there on the Central Coast that can that are going to get some good content. Obviously prizes as well, but you know the main thing is just having fun and spreading that love of Central Coast Rugby. So, mate, I'm upset we're not going to be able to give out some love on your segment for 2 weeks.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put all my love into a little bag and I'll give it to you later on.
That sounds amazing. Sounds incredible. Well, mate, on that note, we might wrap things up. Started and ended on a clanger. You happy with that? You're proud of yourself, aren't you? See you in 2 weeks. See ya!